The Chosen Season 6, Episode 1 trailer is finally here, and I can promise you this: nothing will ever be the same again. Judas's betrayal, Jesus' arrest, and the disciples' heartbreak all collide in one of the most emotional openings this series has ever given us. And now, with leaked behind-the-scenes photos and insider details surfacing, fans are bracing themselves for the beginning of the end. Season 6 picks up exactly where Season 5 left us shattered, in the garden, where Judas kissed Jesus and the soldiers stepped forward to take him away. That single moment, filled with sorrow and betrayal, is the very heart of Episode 1, and it sets the tone for the rest of the season. The trailer confirms what many of us feared. The disciples are torn between anger, confusion, and devastation as Judas steps out of the shadows to deliver Jesus into the hands of those who want him dead. From the very first images in the trailer, the tension is unbearable. You can almost feel the silence of the night breaking into chaos as torches rise, swords are drawn, and hearts are crushed. The leaked information reveals that Peter will not stand by quietly. He is consumed with rage and ready to fight for Jesus. But at the same time, he is powerless against the overwhelming force of soldiers who come to take him away. Fans who were hoping for reconciliation between Judas and the disciples are in for heartbreak, because the leaked scenes make it clear Judas is not turning back. His choice has been made, and the weight of his betrayal will haunt every frame of this episode. But it's not just about Judas. This first episode plunges us straight into the raw emotions of Jesus himself. The leaked footage shows him calm on the outside, but full of sorrow on the inside, and the way Jonathan Rumi brings that to life is already being called one of his most powerful performances yet. Behind-the-scenes details confirm that Jenkins chose to film the arrest sequence with an emotional focus rather than a violent spectacle. This means instead of endless fighting or graphic imagery, we will be pulled into the grief, fear, and helplessness of the disciples. The trailer shows glimpses of Peter, John, and James staring in disbelief as their teacher and friend is bound in chains. And here's the part that really struck me. Sources who were present during filming said that the actors themselves were in tears between takes, unable to shake the heaviness of the moment. This is not just a story they are telling, it's something they are living through as they film it, and that raw emotion bleeds into every second of what we see on screen. The leaked scenes also suggest that Episode 1 will give us a closer look at Judas in a way we have never seen before. Instead of painting him as a flat villain, the writing shows the torment he carries, the weight of the decision he has made, and the strange silence he keeps as he walks away from the disciples who once called him brother. Luke Dimyon, who plays Judas, reportedly spent hours preparing for these moments, and according to interviews, he described them as the most emotionally draining scenes of his career. That says everything about what we are about to watch. Imagine standing in the shoes of Judas, knowing you've just handed over the Son of God, knowing you've destroyed the trust of your closest friends, and yet trying to convince yourself that you did what you thought was right. This is the Judas we will see in Episode 1, and it will break us in ways we're not ready for. From leaked filming schedules, we also know that the arrest scene was shot multiple times in complete silence. With no dialogue at all, only the sound of footsteps, armor, and chains. Jenkins reportedly wanted to capture the suffocating atmosphere of that night, showing us how quickly everything the disciples believed in shattered before their eyes. And when we combine this with the trailer's final moments, showing Jesus being dragged into the courtyard of Caiaphas, it becomes clear this episode is not easing us in. We are being thrown into the storm headfirst. No time to breathe, no time to prepare, just the crushing reality that the moment of the crucifixion has begun. Now, let's talk about the leaks from Italy. We all know the cast and crew traveled to Matera to film some of the most iconic and emotional parts of this season. The leaked set photos showed Roman soldiers leading Jesus through narrow stone streets that still look as if they were frozen in time. This is why Dallas said he chose Italy, because the city itself feels ancient, untouched, and authentic. Those streets will soon be burned into our memories as the backdrop of Jesus' journey to the cross. But here's the detail that shook me. According to insiders, the Italy shoots were so intense that even members of the crew were weeping behind the camera. Elizabeth Tabish, who plays Mary Magdalene, admitted in an interview that filming these scenes felt like a funeral we were all attending together. That tells you everything you need to know about what Episode 1 is preparing us for. And yet, even in the heaviness, The Chosen never forgets the humanity of its characters. The leaked footage shows fleeting moments, Peter's fury, John's tears, Mary's silent prayers, that remind us these were real people, living real heartbreak, in a night that would change history forever. This is why The Chosen connects so deeply with its audience. It doesn't just show us events, it makes us feel them. It brings us into the garden, into the courtyard, into the silence of betrayal, until we can't help but carry that weight ourselves. So, if you thought Season 5 was hard to watch, Season 6, Episode 1 is going to test us like never before. From Judas's kiss to Jesus's chains, from Peter's rage to the disciples' sorrow, everything about this episode is designed to break us open. And as fans, we know this is only the beginning. The crucifixion is coming, and the trailer makes it clear. There's no turning back. If Section 1 left us shaken, Section 2 of this story goes even deeper, because the leaked details and behind-the-scenes whispers don't just stop with the arrest. Episode 1 is setting up the chain of events that will carry us through the darkest hours of Jesus' life, and what makes it so gut-wrenching is how human every character becomes in this moment. The trailer hints at the disciples' first confrontation with Judas, and the leaks confirm that Peter will be the one to step forward with fury burning in his eyes. Can you imagine the weight of that encounter? For years they walked together, shared food, shared laughter, shared miracles. And now Peter is staring at Judas, the man who betrayed their Lord, unable to understand why. Reports from the set describe this confrontation as one of the most emotionally charged scenes they have ever filmed, with both Luke Dimion and Shahar Isaac pouring every ounce of pain and confusion into their performances. According to people present on the set, there was silence after cut because the emotions felt so real that no one could even clap or cheer. That's how heavy this moment will be when it reaches our screens. It won't just be about anger or sadness. It will be about the shattering of trust, the crumbling of brotherhood, and the realization that even the closest circle of disciples was not immune to betrayal. But beyond Judas, the leaked descriptions reveal that Episode 1 will also highlight Jesus' incredible calm in the midst of chaos. We have seen him heal, we have seen him teach, but now we see him surrender. And that surrender is not weakness, it's power in its purest form. The trailer shows him looking at Judas, not with hatred, but with sorrow, and then at Peter, not with encouragement to fight, but with the unspoken reminder that violence is not the way. This is the Jesus we've been following through 5 seasons. Compassionate, patient, and yet fully aware of the storm ahead. Jonathan Rumi has been praised endlessly for his portrayal, but what makes this season different is the exhaustion he brings to the role. Leaked behind-the-scenes accounts describe how Jonathan would stay silent for long periods before filming, isolating himself in order to step into the weight of Jesus' loneliness. And when the cameras rolled, crew members said it felt less like acting and more like a living prayer. One crew member even said, "I forgot I was on set. It felt like I was standing in the garden 2,000 years ago." This is what The Chosen does to people. It blurs the line between performance and reality, between the past and the present, until you feel as though you are no longer watching a show, but living in the very story it tells. And let's not forget the Sanhedrin, because the leaked episode descriptions confirm that the first trial scenes will begin as early as Episode 1. After Jesus' arrest, the soldiers will take him to Caiaphas, and from there, the humiliation and condemnation will begin. The trailer gives us glimpses of flickering torches, angry faces, and cold stares, and while nothing too detailed has been revealed yet, insiders have said that the intensity of these courtroom scenes is unlike anything we've seen so far in The Chosen. Instead of making it feel like a staged trial, Dallas wanted the actors to immerse themselves in the fear, the confusion, and the injustice of it all. And here's the part that broke me. Several of the actors who play disciples admitted in interviews that filming these trial sequences made them feel powerless, as though they were truly watching their friend being condemned in real life. Liz Tabish, again, described it as a grief that doesn't leave you after filming ends. She said she went home crying multiple nights, unable to shake the image of Jonathan bound in chains, standing before people who wanted him dead. This isn't just acting anymore. This is the emotional cost of telling this story with honesty. Now, you might be wondering about the leaked footage from Italy, because fans have been speculating nonstop. Yes, the arrest scenes and trial sequences were partly filmed in the United States, but the crucifixion path, the narrow streets, and the atmosphere of Jerusalem were recreated in Matera, Italy. What's interesting is that episode 1 already teases this upcoming journey. The trailer shows Roman soldiers moving Jesus through dimly lit stone passageways, and though it's only a glimpse, the leaked images confirm that these scenes were part of the Italy shoot. Fans who saw the leaked stills said the imagery alone gave them chills. The contrast between the rough, unchanging stone walls and the fragile, beaten figure of Jesus being led through them is haunting. It's not bloody, it's not violent, but it is devastating in its simplicity. And that is what Dallas has always said he wanted, an emotional impact stronger than graphic spectacle. We don't need to see rivers of blood to understand the pain. We just need to see the sorrow on Mary's face, the despair in Peter's eyes, the silence of the night as Jesus is taken away. That silence, according to leaks, is one of the most powerful tools episode 1 will use. Multiple scenes are said to have been filmed with minimal dialogue, leaving only the sounds of footsteps, torches, and the tightening of ropes to carry the weight of the moment. But as devastating as it all sounds, the beauty of The Chosen is that it never leaves us hopeless. Even in the darkest night, the light flickers through. Leaks suggest that episode 1 will show moments of quiet strength from unexpected characters. Mary Magdalene, for example, will be portrayed as a steady presence, silently supporting the others even as her heart breaks. Some fans who saw early previews of the script said her role in these episodes is subtle but essential. She becomes a mirror of faith when the disciples are overcome with fear. And this is what makes The Chosen so powerful. It's not just about retelling biblical events, but about showing the humanity of the people who lived them. They were not untouchable saints. They were ordinary men and women, devastated by loss, terrified of what was happening, and yet clinging to the hope that somehow God's plan was still unfolding, compassionate, patient, and yet fully aware of the storm ahead. Jonathan Rumi has been praised endlessly for his portrayal, but what makes this season different is the exhaustion he brings to the role. Leaked behind-the-scenes accounts describe how Jonathan would stay silent for long periods before filming, isolating himself in order to step into the weight of Jesus' loneliness. And when the cameras rolled, crew members said it felt less like acting and more like a living prayer. One crew member even said, "I forgot I was on set. It felt like I was standing in the garden 2,000 years ago." This is what The Chosen does to people. It blurs the line between performance and reality, between the past and the present, until you feel as though you are no longer watching a show, but living in the very story it tells. And let's not forget the Sanhedrin, because the leaked episode descriptions confirm that the first trial scenes will begin as early as episode 1. After Jesus' arrest, the soldiers will take him to Caiaphas, and from there, the humiliation and condemnation will begin. The trailer gives us glimpses of flickering torches, angry faces, and cold stares, and while nothing too detailed has been revealed yet, insiders have said that the intensity of these courtroom scenes is unlike anything we've seen so far in The Chosen. Instead of making it feel like a staged trial, Dallas wanted the actors to immerse themselves in the fear, the confusion, and the injustice of it all. And here's the part that broke me. Several of the actors who play disciples admitted in interviews that filming these trial sequences made them feel powerless, as though they were truly watching their friend being condemned in real life. Liz Tabish, again, described it as a grief that doesn't leave you after filming ends. She said she went home crying multiple nights, unable to shake the image of Jonathan bound in chains, standing before people who wanted him dead. This isn't just acting anymore. This is the emotional cost of telling this story with honesty. Now, you might be wondering about the leaked footage from Italy, because fans have been speculating non-stop. Yes, the arrest scenes and trial sequences were partly filmed in the United States, but the crucifixion path, the narrow streets, and the atmosphere of Jerusalem were recreated in Matera, Italy. What's interesting is that episode 1 already teases this upcoming journey. The trailer shows Roman soldiers moving Jesus through dimly lit stone passageways, and though it's only a glimpse, the leaked images confirm that these scenes were part of the Italy shoot. Fans who saw the leaked stills said the imagery alone gave them chills. The contrast between the rough, unchanging stone walls and the fragile, beaten figure of Jesus being led through them is haunting. It's not bloody, it's not violent, but it is devastating in its simplicity. And that is what Dallas has always said he wanted, an emotional impact stronger than graphic spectacle. We don't need to see rivers of blood to understand the pain. We just need to see the sorrow on Mary's face, the despair in Peter's eyes, the silence of the night as Jesus is taken away. That silence, according to leaks, is one of the most powerful tools Episode 1 will use. Multiple scenes are said to have been filmed with minimal dialogue, leaving only the sounds of footsteps, torches, and the tightening of ropes to carry the weight of the moment. But as devastating as it all sounds, the beauty of The Chosen is that it never leaves us hopeless. Even in the darkest night, the light flickers through. Leaks suggest that Episode 1 will show moments of quiet strength from unexpected characters. Mary Magdalene, for example, will be portrayed as a steady presence, silently supporting the others even as her heart breaks. Some fans who saw early previews of the script said her role in these episodes is subtle but essential. She becomes a mirror of faith when the disciples are overcome with fear. And this is what makes The Chosen so powerful. It's not just about retelling biblical events, but about showing the humanity of the people who lived them. They were not untouchable saints. They were ordinary men and women, devastated by loss, terrified of what was happening, and yet clinging to the hope that somehow God's plan was still unfolding. One of the most intriguing leaks I've come across is that Episode 1 will not end with a clean resolution. In fact, it will leave us hanging in the chaos. The trailer already hints at it. Jesus is dragged away, Peter is left in fury, the disciples scatter in fear, and Judas walks alone, carrying the weight of his betrayal. According to insiders, the final moments of Episode 1 will be some of the most haunting in the entire series. We will see the disciples' unity shattered, their faith tested, and their leader taken away. It won't be a triumphant ending, but a painful reminder that the darkest chapter of the story has only just begun. And this is what makes Season 6 so different from all the others. In previous seasons, we had miracles to hold on to, teachings to inspire us, moments of joy to balance the sorrow. But in Season 6, especially in Episode 1, joy is replaced with grief, clarity with confusion, and hope with despair, at least for now. The resurrection is coming, yes, but first, we must walk through the valley of shadows. And that's the brilliance of how Dallas and his team are crafting this story. They are not rushing us to the resurrection, they are forcing us to feel the weight of the crucifixion. They want us to sit in the heartbreak, to cry with the disciples, to feel the sting of betrayal, and to understand that this was not just a story of victory, but of unimaginable suffering. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be painful. And if the leaks and trailer are anything to go by, Episode 1 of Season 6 is going to take us to emotional depths we've never experienced before. As if the arrest and betrayal weren't already heavy enough, the leaked information about what comes next in Season 6, Episode 1, makes it clear that the pain is only deepening from here. We've seen Jesus led away in chains, we've seen Judas vanish into the shadows, but what the trailer doesn't show us is just how broken the disciples become in these first crucial hours. Insiders describe the tone of Episode 1 as suffocating with despair, and what makes it so powerful is the silence between the chaos. After Jesus is taken, the disciples scatter, and leaks reveal that each one of them will wrestle with his own fear and confusion. Peter, of course, is consumed with rage and helplessness. Leaked behind-the-scenes reports suggest that his desperation in Episode 1 sets the stage for what we all know is coming, his denial. That moment may not fully arrive in this opening episode, but you can feel the tension building already. It's like a storm cloud hanging over him, ready to break at any second. Meanwhile, John and James are portrayed as paralyzed by sorrow, unable to process what has just unfolded, while Mary Magdalene is left with the quiet but crushing task of trying to hold everyone together. And what about Matthew? Leaks hint that his fear will resurface in a big way, reminding us of the man he once was before following Jesus, and showing how fragile even the strongest faith can become in a night like this. And yet, the one who weighs most heavily on this episode is Judas. The trailer shows only glimpses, but the leaks confirm that Judas's storyline in Episode 1 will be one of the most haunting in the entire series. Rather than showing him simply as the villain who sold Jesus for silver, the writers are taking us into the depth of his torment. According to sources, Episode 1 will follow Judas in the immediate aftermath of the kiss. Walking alone under the cover of night, hearing the echoes of his choice and carrying the crushing weight of his betrayal. Luke Dimion, who plays Judas, reportedly delivered a performance so raw that even crew members struggled to watch him. In interviews, he hinted that Judas's guilt is almost unbearable from the very beginning, and fans who saw leaked footage said it left them speechless. Imagine Judas walking through the streets, clutching the silver he was paid, yet trembling as though the coins themselves burn in his hands. Imagine the silence around him, broken only by the distant sound of soldiers and the memory of Jesus' voice calling him friend. That's the Judas we are about to see in episode 1, and it is devastating. The leaked production notes also reveal how intentional Dallas Jenkins was in shaping the tone of this episode. Instead of rushing us through the arrest and moving straight to the trial, he wanted the audience to sit in the heartbreak, to feel the confusion, to share in the disciples' disorientation. This is why episode 1 is said to unfold almost like a nightmare. Time slows down, silences linger too long, shadows feel darker, and every detail reminds us that hope is slipping away. Insiders even revealed that Dallas pushed the cast to play their characters with minimal dialogue, relying instead on facial expressions, body language, and silence to communicate the depth of their grief. In one particular leaked scene, Peter stares into the night after Jesus has been taken, gripping his sword in frustration, tears filling his eyes, but saying nothing. That silence, according to those who witnessed filming, was more powerful than any line could have been. And this is what The Chosen does better than any other biblical adaptation. It makes us feel the story, not just watch it. Of course, the Italy shoot continues to play a huge role in how these scenes will look and feel. We already know Matera was chosen for its ancient, untouched beauty. But the leaks suggest that episode 1 will feature more of these Italian landscapes than fans expected. Apparently, some of the early trial sequences and courtyard scenes were filmed there, giving the opening episode a haunting authenticity. The leaked stills show Roman soldiers leading Jesus under arches of rough stone, their shadows stretching across walls that seem frozen in time. Fans who have seen the leaks said it feels almost too real, as though history itself has come alive. One crew member described filming in Matera as walking through a memory, saying the city itself carried an emotional weight that made every scene heavier. And here's the detail that truly hit me. Jonathan Rumi himself reportedly broke down in tears multiple times while filming in Italy, needing to step away between takes because of the emotional toll. If the actor who has lived in this role for years is struggling to carry the weight of these scenes, imagine what it will do to us as an audience when we finally watch them. But episode 1 isn't just about showing us the disciples' despair, it's also about pulling us into the growing tension with the religious leaders. The leaks confirm that Caiaphas and members of the Sanhedrin will appear early in this season, beginning the process of condemning Jesus. These scenes are said to be filmed with a chilling intensity, portraying the cold calculation of the leaders who see Jesus not as a man, but as a threat to their power. The leaked script notes suggest that their dialogue is sharp, almost cruel, contrasting with the silence and sorrow of the disciples. And this contrast is intentional. It forces us to see how differently people reacted to Jesus in this moment. To some, he was the Messiah, the one they loved and followed. To others, he was a danger that had to be eliminated at all costs. The collision of these perspectives is what drives the entire season, and episode 1 plants those seeds immediately. One of the most heart-wrenching leaks, though, is about Mary, the mother of Jesus. While the trailer doesn't focus much on her, insiders confirm that episode 1 will feature a quiet but devastating scene with her. Apparently, after Jesus is arrested, she is shown waiting in the shadows, searching for her son, and the look on her face alone is enough to bring audiences to tears. No words, just a mother's anguish as she realizes that her child is being dragged away to suffer. Some early reports even suggest that Dallas filmed this scene in near total silence, letting the emotion speak louder than any line could. Liz Tabish hinted in an interview that filming alongside the actress playing Mary was one of the hardest moments of her career because you could feel a mother's heartbreak in the air. That's the kind of weight episode 1 is carrying. It's not just about history, it's about human grief, loss, and love. And here's something else to think about. The leaks confirm that episode 1 will not shy away from showing the disciples at their weakest. We've seen them grow, we've seen their faith deepen, but now we're going to see them break. Fear, anger, denial, sorrow, all of it will pour out in this episode, reminding us that they were human just like us. And that's exactly what makes their eventual redemption so powerful. Dallas himself has said in interviews that Season 6 will challenge audiences in ways they're not expecting, because it won't just be about Jesus' suffering, but about the disciples' failure to stand by him. That's what makes this story so real. It's not a tale of perfect heroes, but of broken men and women who were still chosen despite their failures. So when you put all of this together, the betrayal of Judas, the arrest in the garden, the silence of despair, the looming trial before Caiaphas, the quiet grief of Mary, and the fractured hearts of the disciples, you begin to understand why Episode 1 of Season 6 is being described as the most emotional opening in the entire series. This isn't just another season premiere, it's the beginning of the end, the unraveling of everything we've held onto, and the painful descent into the crucifixion. The trailer gave us glimpses, the leaks gave us details, and now we know. When Episode 1 arrives, it will break us open in ways we've never experienced before. What happened next left everyone stunned. The chamber fell into silence, the kind of silence that doesn't bring peace, but fear. Every eye was fixed on the man at the center of the storm. Keir Starmer stood there, his face pale but his jaw locked, as if refusing to show weakness. But the weight of the revelations was crushing him in real time. His career, his legacy, everything he built was now dangling by a single thread, ready to snap at any moment. The documents were no longer whispers, no longer rumors from the shadows. They were real, undeniable, and presented in the most public way possible. Every page told the same story: secret deals, hidden negotiations, and promises made behind closed doors to figures outside the country. It was betrayal written in black ink. And betrayal, when exposed to the light, has only one outcome: destruction. Some MPs gasped, some rose to their feet in anger, shouting words that echoed like thunder through Parliament. "Resign!" they yelled. "Traitor!" others screamed. It was not politics anymore. This was raw fury, the kind that rises only when a nation feels it has been deceived. The chamber had turned into a battlefield, not with swords or guns, but with accusations sharp enough to cut. Starmer tried to steady his hands, but the tremor gave him away. He opened his mouth to speak, but his words stumbled before they reached the air. This was supposed to be his moment of strength. Instead, it became his moment of collapse. The Prime Minister who wanted to control history now found history controlling him. Reporters outside Parliament sent breaking news alerts faster than anyone could read them. Television screens flashed with banners. Starmer exposed. Secret EU deal leaked. Resignation imminent. Social media erupted, hashtags trending worldwide within minutes. People poured into the streets, some cheering the exposure, others crying out in despair, not wanting to believe the leader they trusted could have betrayed them. But inside the chamber, the pressure mounted. Senior members of his own party turned away from him, refusing to meet his eyes. Allies who once defended him in every debate now sat frozen in silence. Loyalty was vanishing second by second, replaced by fear of going down with him. In politics, loyalty lasts only as long as power survives. And Keir Starmer's power was bleeding away. The speaker called for order, but order had already been lost. This was chaos in its purest form. Starmer's political enemies circled him like wolves, ready to strike at his weakest point. Every question aimed at him was a dagger. Did you know? Did you approve? Did you plan this in secret while the public was kept in the dark? And each time he tried to answer, the chamber roared louder, drowning his voice. Meanwhile, the opposition seized the moment. Their leaders stood tall, their voices sharp with conviction. They accused him of betraying democracy, of selling out the people who trusted him, of breaking the very oath he had sworn when he stepped into office. The words high treason were whispered in corners, repeated in hushed tones, but growing louder with each passing minute. And then came the breaking point. A senior figure from his own front bench rose to speak. The chamber fell quiet again. Every second of silence felt like an eternity. And when the words came, they struck harder than any headline. For the good of this country, for the survival of our democracy, you must step down. Gasps filled the hall. Starmer's own party, his own allies, were now calling for his resignation. That moment broke something inside him. His shoulders sagged, his defiance melted. For the first time, his eyes showed the truth. He knew the end was near. Outside, the crowd's chants grew louder. Barricades trembled under the weight of angry citizens demanding answers. Police held the line, but even they looked shaken, as if they too felt history bending in front of them. The pressure was unbearable, and everyone knew it. This was not just the collapse of a government, but the collapse of a man. And as Starmer stood there, surrounded by jeers, demands, and betrayal, one question hung in the air like a sword. Would he fight to the bitter end, or would he bow out before the flames consumed everything? The world was watching, waiting for his next move. Because in that moment, Keir Starmer was not just a prime minister. He was a man trapped between survival and surrender, between truth and ruin, between history's judgment and his own downfall.